Yo, guys, what's up? And welcome back to the Marvelous Chats podcast. This is episode 121. This is the first podcast of 2024. So, Happy New Year to everybody. Tonight on the cast, we're going to be talking about What If Season 2. We're going to be talking about Rebel Moon and any other kind of nerdy news in the time that we've been off. This is the first podcast in the first couple of, we haven't done one in a couple of weeks' time. So, there's probably going to be plenty to talk about. Tonight on the cast is myself, Finto, and Alex, aka Zaberwolf. If you're new to the channel, make sure you drop a follow or a subscription and leave a like on the video. If you're listening to us on Spotify, leaving us a rating will really help out the channel. So without further ado, here we go. Yo, what's up, dude?
Hey, what's going on, buddy?
How are you?
I'm doing all right. How you been?
I've been good. I've been good. It feels like I haven't spoke to you in a long time. I know it's probably it actually has been about 2 weeks or so. So how have you been? How was Christmas? How was New Year's? Did you have a good one?
Christmas is great. I like different traditions. Considering that I was doing it with the girlfriend's family, so it's very different from what I'm used to.
Okay.
Like when it's just Christmas with like me and my mother, we
Yeah.
just kind of sit around,
Mhm.
don't really do much, but we hang out with family once in a while, or we just stay at home. But with my girlfriend's family, it's completely different. You wake up, you have to show up by like 9:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
They have breakfast ready. As soon as everybody shows up, then they start opening presents, and they open presents one by one. So
Right.
it's like it's a
You're sitting
long
there for a while.
process. Yeah. And
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with it, because then it creates this like feeling of like, I guess, focus.
Mhm.
You kind of have that feeling like, oh, okay, so like they got this, they got that, so that we remember what exactly like they were getting as gifts, rather than just everyone opening gifts and like chaos.
Yeah.
So it's really cool. We apparently the siblings got their parents like these like collage frames with like text in the middle, and then like pictures of like the family and pictures of like their marriage, and it made them both cry, which I thought
Oh,
was
wow.
pretty awesome.
That's great, man. That's what it's all about.
Yeah. And I got some new card games to play. I got Happy Little Dinosaurs.
Never
Which
heard
is
of it.
dude, like I'm huge on like card and board games. And so
Okay.
like with Happy Little Dinosaurs, it's like pretty simple process. All you got to do is just reach to the end of the goal, or get all the other dinosaurs killed. So like you got to be the last dinosaur standing.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
It's pretty fun.
Yo, Andre, what's up, dude? Happy New Year to you.
Hey, how's it going, buddy? But yeah, Christmas great. Food was great. Was there from 9 to probably 7, like 6 or 7 in the evening. So I'm like, I'm so drained. I didn't
Yeah.
have anything else to talk about. We were just sitting there kind of silently after a while, and I'm like, can we kind of just go? Like, is there any way to? I don't want to
Yeah.
be rude. And then and then I'd look at Katie, and Katie goes, I mean, you could leave, but nobody's ever done that before. And I'm like,
That's
what do you mean?
hilarious.
Am I trapped here? What's going on?
Yeah, it's funny because obviously this is my first Christmas in our new house, and although I've definitely celebrated Christmas before with like my girlfriend and the kids and all, obviously my daughter's only 1 years old now, so it was her first Christmas. So it was kind of like a couple of firsts for us, which was great. And she has like a tradition where they do like the presents that her family like do, like the presents that they bought each other. They do them on Christmas Eve. Like, so you open them on like Christmas Eve before you go to bed, and then they do all like the Santa stuff on Christmas morning then. Which isn't something that my family usually does. We usually just do everything on Christmas morning. So it's just funny, you're talking about how, you're kind of in a situation where there's different traditions and stuff. And I think everybody has that. I think everyone kind of celebrates Christmas in their own little ways. They all have their own like kind of certain things. Like I've friends who their families, will only eat like a certain thing on Christmas Eve as a kind of, preparation for the day. Like they have like breakfast for dinner sort of thing. And me and my family, I don't know, I always kind of thought it was just kind of standard, but I suppose they, as I say, each family have a different kind of tradition, so it's all personal preference, I suppose.
Exactly.
Um, yeah, yeah. So we did Christmas in my house, Christmas Eve in my house, Christmas Day, the morning obviously in our house, and then we went to my parents' house for dinner, for Christmas Day dinner, and then on the day after Christmas, which us Irish we call St. Stephen's Day, we went to her family on the other side of the country, and then we stayed there for a night. So we did the 26th, 27th over on the west coast. So we got to kind of see both families and stuff like that. And then New Year's was just very boring. To be honest, I
Yeah.
sat in. The two of us sat in. We watched Interstellar, which is, in my opinion, the greatest movie ever made. And we just like literally, I remember looking at my phone and it was like 2 minutes to midnight, and the two of us were just sat there, just kind of feet up on the couch, engrossed in the movie. And I was like, I'm gonna watch this now. And the second it hits 12, I'll just say it to her, real casual on the sly, like just like, oh, Happy New Year. And like, I was just like, Happy New Year, and she looked at me, just goes, oh well, yeah. And I was like, yeah. Anyway, back to the movie. So it was just one of those things where, again, I've always been that way. Like, I've never really liked New Year's. I don't know what it's like over in America, but for us, like, especially I live in the capital, so like the city center is just crazy busy all the time. So like if you ever wanted to go into the city and celebrate New Year's, like you were never going to be able to like get a taxi home. Like buses are just
Mhm.
impossible to get, all that sort of stuff. So you're kind of stranded there, and you end up kind of left walking for hours trying to get home. Because like I probably live about like a 10 mile, maybe 10 or 12 miles from the city center. So like, when you're drunk at 3 o'clock in the morning, it's going to take you for 4 hours to walk 12 miles. So, it's not, and it's not safe, obviously. So, for me, when we were growing up, it used to just be that we would all either, someone would throw a house party and we'd all just go there and we kind of stay out of the city. So for me, New Year's has never really been a big thing, but I don't know. I'd love to do a trip away somewhere. I'd like to be away somewhere, I think, for New Year's some year, and then just kind of like ring in the new year on a holiday, and then it would kind of be more special, I suppose. But for the
Mhm.
moment, it's just kind of, yeah, whatever. It's just another night for me.
Yeah, I can't remember exactly what happened during New Year's for us. I think it was just staying at home as well. Never really been in it. Like I'm sure you already understand. Like I'm a homebody. I really like to just be home. I
Hmm.
like I like to be where my stuff is. I like to have my stuff around me.
Yeah,
But I have gone out like once in a while. It's To me, it's not that big of a deal. But I know it's much more fun when you go out with friends and family.
yeah,
So when you try to do things on your own, it's like, no, no, I'm good. I'll just stay
yeah,
home. I'll just chill. I'll watch TV or something.
yeah, yeah,
Um, but I remember like, Thanksgiving and whatnot, hanging out with Robert, like Max Luther, and
yeah.
um, he introduced me to like all of his friends. Like, there was a guy named Middleface, there was, Brandon, there was
Metal
all these
face.
type. Yeah, yeah. Like
That's hilarious.
piercings all over his face. And
Okay,
it's
yeah,
just,
okay.
yeah, it's like bars, studs, like everything is like metal basically. So like as he's talking, it's like all moving at the same time in a sense. So like that's
Nightmare
why
in
he's
the airports, I'm sure.
but cool dude, really chill. Like, like that was a cool Thanksgiving. I remember like listening to the music, just hearing like the bass, they had like it was literally a house party.
Yeah,
And it was a fun experience. And I can't remember if I drove home or he drove home, but like either way we got home.
yeah. That's the main thing. That's the important thing.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I got a haircut as well, and for anybody who's watching live or watching the replay, like my hair, my fringe is shorter than it usually is, and it's driving me crazy. And I usually go to one girl. I usually let one girl cut my hair, and she kind of went out and did her own solo thing. She used to work in a barber shop, and now when COVID hit, she kind of went out on her own. She kind of created her own client list, and now she kind of just cuts hair on her own, off her own back, like whenever she wants, like, so I text her and I'm like, can you come around to my house at some point and just cut my hair? And she usually does. So I get like house calls, which is great, because I could just be like, come around at like 2 o'clock, say for example, on Wednesday. I know I'm working from home that day. I get a haircut on my lunch break and boom, I'm done. Whereas this time she was away, or I didn't want to really bother her over the Christmas break. And I was like looking around for places to go, and there was this really nice place in the mall where I get my comic books, and I walked in and I could see they were still open, and I was like, okay, grand. And then she wanted to go somewhere to check something. She wanted me to go with her, and by the time I got a break from her, she wanted to go and do a bit of other shopping. I went back to the place and it was like completely closed. I was like, no, I'm not gonna have a haircut for Christmas now. I was like, shit. So then after Christmas, I was like looking around as well. I couldn't find anywhere, so I went to a new place, and you kind of, I don't know if you give a shit about haircuts, but for me, like I do, like I if my hair looks shit, it pisses me off. So I'm just kind of like, oh, I'll give this place a chance. I don't usually like letting new people cut my hair because the girl who cuts my hair, for example, like she knows the way I like it, like so she just
Yeah,
does it
of
that way.
course.
I've had the same haircut since I was like fucking 14, like so I'm just like, just do it the way I like it, and that's it. And then I gave this girl a chance, and it was shit. So I'm just like, yeah, great. Yeah, Audrey knows. It does look like shit. My fringe, she cut too much off my fringe, and it drives me crazy. But anyway,
Gotcha.
look,
Well,
anyway.
that's the funny thing though, man. Like I remember, growing up and only having one barber, and like did great, was doing great. Um, like as I got older, like I wasn't going to the barber as often because I really didn't care. I would just shave my head myself.
Yeah.
And eventually, I let it get too long. I went back and I had a cut, and then I was like, I don't know, like I didn't really like the cut as well as I used to. Maybe it wasn't as good as I thought.
Hmm.
Um, and I felt like there were, maybe it's just his age or something, like things were a little bit too long in one end. I see like things sticking out, like he didn't really clean it up as smoothly as he used to. And I'm like,
Yeah.
you know what? I'm gonna branch out. I'm gonna try something else. And once I moved, I found a barber, and it's amazing how like in the modern times it's now like it doesn't matter what, like if it's a male or female barber, it's just a barber now, like which I think is really cool. Like all these different stylists that you get, and I went to this one place and it costs quite a bit, but like they'll massage your scalp, they'll like rinse your hair, they'll dry it out and then like cut it, and then
Yeah.
um they'll put like stuff on it like to kind of like give it a little bit of a gloss, or like some like keep it stiff or something.
Yeah.
And it's awesome, but I feel like for me, my dad is balding, so
Hmm.
like I think that I'm going to get there eventually, only for the fact that it skipped my mother,
Yeah.
or it skipped like her generation,
Yeah.
and I feel like I'm gonna lose hair because of my dad.
Do
Because
you know your mother's father?
yeah, and he had mostly a full head of hair. I think he's about where I'm at.
So, from what I believe, or from what I've heard, this is the kind of tale or whatever. But I hear you get your mother's father's hair, so that's where your hair comes from.
Oh,
Apparently,
gotcha.
so they say. But my granddad on my mother's side, he died with a full head of hair. So I'm kind of just like, oh, maybe I'll be okay. That's what I like to tell myself, anyway.
Dude, and to be fair, like I don't care if I lose my hair. I'm not gonna look like a fucking clown. I'm not gonna have the fucking sides.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm not gonna try to do a comb over. This
You
whole
gotta
thing's coming off.
Yeah,
It's
you
coming
gotta
off.
just you gotta call it quits. Now, to be fair, like I have thought about it, and to be honest, I probably would try and get a transplant, maybe, because like I love having hair. Like I do, like, and I couldn't imagine being bald. But obviously, I'm not gonna sit in that weird kind of middle ground where, like, it's like you need to give it up, bro. Like you can clearly
Right.
see your hair's gone. Like,
Exactly. You're
you
you're
know,
you're hanging on by literally a few threads.
yeah.
Like,
Like, to be
I'm
honest,
not gonna
like,
do it.
my hair, like, it looks like it's thinning on the top, like in certain spots, and it's just the way the camera is right now. My hair actually doesn't
Oh
really look
yeah.
like that,
Same
but
here.
it's like, even for where I am now, I notice like my hairline receding a bit, and like honestly, it upsets me. Like I hate it. Like, so, I genuinely would be the type to where I would actually probably look into getting, like, if it got worse
Oh,
than what
like
it is
the
now, I would like look into getting like the transplant done. Like, genuinely, like,
well, and I've seen people get that, and like back in the day, now like it was horrible. It looked terrible.
yeah.
Now it
Oh,
looks good.
it's legit,
Like
bro. It's legit.
even hair plugs look good now.
Yeah.
I
I
feel
like
bad for Guy Fieri because
Well, people over here, like in Europe, like they fly to Turkey because it's really cheap. Like people fly to Turkey and Poland and all these places in Eastern Europe because the likes of like dental care and like hair transplants and stuff are really cheap. So there's always this like kind of running joke that you're either going to see like the airports over there are full of people flying back home, and they've got like, I don't know if you've ever seen anyone that's had just a hair transplant done, but like their scalp is all red and they've got bandages and stuff. So like everyone on the plane either has bandages or they've just got a fresh set of teeth. So like it's like that's what everyone goes there for. So that, like, one of my managers in work, he's a very big dude, like, and he got the gastric band on his stomach. So he got that procedure done, but he went to Turkey to do it as well because it's like a quarter of the price over there that it is here. So you know what I mean? Like, it's like, why
yeah,
wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you? You know what I mean? So like,
of
yeah,
course.
I always kind of joke and say like, oh, that trip to Turkey's coming soon. Like, gotta start saving for the trip to Turkey. Yeah, it's one of those. It's one of those jokes that always runs around like my group of friends and all as well. It's like, lads, when are we going to Turkey? Like, because like a few of my friends are going bald as well, and then they're always like to me, "Oh, you've got so much hair, like compared to what I have," and I'm just like, I know, but I'm still not happy. So, oh, stuff. Anyway, look, let's get into some nerdy shit because we've been talking about hair way too long. But while we were off, there was a good bit on. I think over the Christmas. Obviously, we had What If. I really liked how What If was done, like an episode a day for the 9 days leading up to Christmas and after Christmas. I really enjoyed it because like there was some days where I didn't get a chance to watch it, and then I'd have two to watch or three to watch, and I was like, oh, this is great. Like it's nice the way they're building it up. And I like the way that next week we're gonna have all of Echo. So all 5 episodes of Echo are going to air next week, which again is great because I'll watch it in 2 sittings, and next week on the podcast, episode 122, we're just going to talk all Echo. It's going to be great. So I really like the way that Disney are doing this. I don't know if it's here to stay. I kind of get the feeling that maybe they don't have the biggest confidence in Echo, so they're kind of just like,
Mhm.
oh, let's just get rid of it, have it be bad news for a week and then it's gone, sort of thing. But to be honest, like from what I've seen, I don't know if you saw the last trailer that launched, but like they confirmed in that trailer that the Netflix universe is canon to the MCU, which is I consider that a positive move. Um,
Okay.
yeah, like because the way it was always kind of up in the air. Are we actually in just like a slightly different universe where it's all the same actors and all that sort of thing? And I think Feige had said like it's mostly the same, but some things could be different. Whereas like in that trailer, they're showing clips from the Netflix show, so you're kind of like, okay, this is good news.
Yeah.
Um. So yeah, I have high hopes, but again, I can understand why people might not, and maybe Disney themselves are like, okay, let's just kind of churn this stuff out quickly. What do
Right.
you think? Did you like the pacing of What If, like having an episode a day, or like what did you think, or would you like it to be weekly?
The pacing, what if a day, I think was pretty fun. I think it really helped with the pacing, but then again, like I still wasn't a huge fan of what they were attempting to do for the show itself. Um, I don't know how you felt like ultimately about it, but other than that, like the pacing was fine. I think daily is good. But again, it's like are they trying to be more like the original broadcasting when you would watch The Simpsons on a weekly episode? Or are they trying to do their own thing and see like I'm assuming they're experimenting, which is good
Mm,
because like they need to figure out like what their what their sweet spot is.
yeah,
If it's too much to do a daily thing, then maybe they'll pull it back. Maybe they'll do it like every 3 days, which I think would be pretty cool. Like or two a week would
yeah.
even be good.
Like
So
I suppose like the beauty of having your own streaming service, and I suppose this is what I thought was going to happen when the likes of Disney Plus started, was just that like they don't have to stick to TV schedules and all this sort of shit. They can kind of do whatever they want. So like I would have thought like yeah, like release something every 2 or 3 days or 3 or 4 days or whatever, and just kind of go off your own schedule. Don't like be sticking to Wednesday nights or whatever. And I think maybe it works better with animation. Like, I don't know if like a new episode of Daredevil every day for 18 days or whatever they plan to do for the first season. I think it's 18 episodes long. Like
mm,
for 18 days, a new episode of Daredevil might be a bit much. Like it might not flow in the same way as it would if they like the way they did it with What If. But yeah, I don't know. Like we'll see how like I personally really enjoyed What If the way it was shown to me. Um there was some episodes that weren't as good as others, of course. But I always found that like I wouldn't be sitting thinking about a shit episode of the show because it's like the next day there's another one on top, and it's like you get excited to kind of start a whole new world again.
right, and then you also create that hierarchy a lot faster, and
Yeah,
so you don't feel as defeated whenever you watch an episode that you thought was like terrible.
yeah,
Um, But I mean, overall, though, I still don't like the structure of What If that much. I think what they're trying to do is be overly funny
hmm,
for no reason. I think they're like they're really reaching, in my opinion. I don't think the story writers are very good. I
hmm,
think that they're very like they don't know what to write. They don't know what would be applicable to each of the stories and what would be like, understandable.
Mhm.
I understand that you want to kind of do callbacks to different movies and whatnot, which can be fun at times, but it has to be, and I throw this term all the fucking time. It has to be organic. It has to feel natural. Like you can't just have Hela do the same reference to like what they did in Thor. So that scene where she's like trying to grab her helmet and then she does the roar, like it doesn't feel natural. I was like at what point did we ever think that Hela would do any sort of roaring, any sort of like, stuff like that? She's very calm and collective. And yes, like when she loses her temper, she gets a bit like rough, but we've never seen her like rah, like screaming and yelling at people. Like she was never like that.
Mm.
So I didn't believe that scene. And I knew what they were trying to do because basically it was the exact same way they did Thor. So it's just like, do you guys not have original ideas? Like, is it something else? Like I understand that they've done this with like the swap. Like what if Peter Parker had become the Hulk and Bruce Banner had become Spider-Man? Like that is somewhat okay to do.
Yeah.
Um it's not going to be the exact same situation because when they did that, the idea was that Peter Parker, when he became the Hulk, he would lose his temper quite often. So uh uh, um when Uncle Ben died, sorry, when Uncle Ben died, like he flew into a rage basically, and he was just causing chaos, and like he wouldn't listen to Aunt May, and so it was like this moment of like, whoa, he's actually kind of like turning into a big anti-hero here. Whereas
Yeah.
like Bruce is like flying around, he's like like no problems whatsoever basically because he's already an adult.
Yeah.
And like I think that works well because like they still try to do the same story, but it's like it's not going to be the exact same thing. It's going to change up because of the way that they convey it. Like it's like Peter has a temper. So
Yeah.
great that it works that he becomes a Hulk. Bruce, he had a temper, but like he learned responsibility and whatnot through the use of Spider-Man. Like it's the same feeling because it's the same heroes. It's just given to different people.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
when you see like and I keep like pushing on Hela, when you see Hela, I really think that they just didn't know what to do like full on for Hela. And they just decided to toss her somewhere. And they're
I
like,
like.
"Well, let's mash it with the 10 rings," which I thought was okay.
Yeah, I thought it was
It,
good.
yeah, well, like I didn't say the 10 ring thing was bad. I think that
Yeah.
whole situation was good. Like once we got past the references and like the feeling of like, oh, making Hela act as if she's just like Thor,
Hmm.
um it really put into perspective like how much Hela could change had she been humbled.
Yeah.
So, so I like that. That was one of my more favorited episodes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which one did you like least of all?
The Christmas special. Um
Which one was that?
well, and if you
Oh,
can't
sorry,
remember,
the Die Hard one.
in a sense, yeah, the Happy
Was it
Hogan
Happy?
Saves Christmas.
I liked that one. I thought that one was fun, and I liked that they released that one on Christmas Day, and it was basically Die Hard, and it was kind of like everybody like, yes, Die Hard is a Christmas movie. I thought that was kind of
Yeah.
cool because there's
Yeah,
like
that
such a
was
debate. There's such a debate about that, which is ridiculous. Like the movie takes place at Christmas time. Of course, it's a Christmas movie.
of course.
Um,
It's
yeah.
fun. It's
Hmm.
fun. It definitely is. I just I hate how much they were pushing Darcy. I hated
Yeah,
it
yeah, yeah.
so fucking much.
Yeah, Darcy would be a character that I like in micro doses. She gets very annoying very fast, and I don't know if it's the actress or what, but uh, like even when she's in WandaVision, like I was like when she first showed up, I'm like, oh yeah, cool, it's Darcy. That it was nice to see her because I'm like, oh thank God, a bit of connective tissue, like great. And then you're kind of just you get sick of her as the show goes on. So I don't know if it's
I,
the actress or if it's just the way that she's portrayed or if it's just the type of person that she is, but she annoys me very fast.
well, that's kind of funny how you mentioned it that way because I think that in WandaVision she was much better. She was
Yeah.
like 10 times better than what she originally was.
Well, I didn't even
Because
like her in I didn't even like her in Thor 1, let's just, put that to bed. So I
oh
didn't even
no,
like her
yeah,
as a character from the beginning. So
yeah, to me she wasn't likable. It's just
yeah.
that people found her funny
Mhm.
because at the time it was probably funny.
Yeah.
And they're just overdoing it now.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I'm just looking at the list of episodes here, and like my least favorite episode is actually probably the first one, the one with Nebula joining the Nova Corps.
Oh yeah,
I was,
that one was garbage.
I was just like, oh, we're kind of off to a shit start here. And again, I was kind of just thought to myself, well, we have another episode tomorrow. Let's let's wait and see what tomorrow's is like. But I hope it's better, sort of thing. Um, yeah, like I don't know, bro. Like it's just, I think the titles of the episodes are, like, leaked early. And I remember reading this title of episode 2, Peter Quill attacks Earth's mightiest heroes, and I was like, how is that possible? Like, I'm sorry, what? I was like, Star Lord will get absolutely wiped with all of these people. But then when I actually watched the episode, it's like, oh, okay, he's still a Celestial. I was like, okay, that's actually pretty cool. So
Yeah.
I kind of liked that episode when I thought I was going to hate it reading like the kind of description of it. I was like, oh god, this is going to be terrible. But then I was like, it actually was great. Um, how did you feel about the entire series 2 being kind of hyper focused on Peggy Carter? Did you like that, or
I'm not a huge fan of it, only for the fact that there's plenty of heroes that you could do. You can read, like I understand that Peggy is Captain America of the What If series, and that they're gonna like in my opinion, if they do once they do a season 3, it's gonna be Peggy again because it's they for some reason people want to see Peggy, or
mm,
the network wants to make Peggy like the driving force.
yeah,
Um, I'm not a huge fan of that because there's like again, there's multiple characters that you can create. There's multiple characters that you can have like their redemption arcs for. I think that you can really like flesh out each and every one of them. But
mm,
when you like hyper focus on like two characters or even one, it really just like shoehorns the whole series into okay, so when are we going to see Peggy finish the job?
yeah, yeah. Like I felt I felt myself asking the question, like, why? Like, why is it? Why are we focusing on Peggy for so long? Like, I thought the whole point of What If, and this was kind of how season 1 was. Like, each episode was just a completely different world, completely different characters, really focusing on how the multiverse works. Like, it's
Yeah.
infinite possibilities, infinite whatever. So, like, when you see Hela like grabbing her helmet, and like it's kind of emulating the way Thor did it. I'm like, okay, well, that kind of makes sense in the multiverse, because somewhere in the multiverse there is the exact same story happening, but just with a different person, sort of thing. So I was like, I kind of understand why they're doing that, and it's a good way to reference back to the previous movies, and it kind of just works in my opinion. Like, I can kind of see the fun in it, but when you do a story where it's like you're focusing on the same character for the whole thing, I kind of thought it kind of defeated the purpose a little bit of the whole what if pitch, if that makes
Right.
sense. Because like this season, you probably could have just called it like Peggy Carter, or something, like, because it really felt like just a Peggy story. Um, so I don't know. Like I thought the first season of the show was a little better because it was so random, whereas this time it didn't feel as random, especially in like the back half of the series, because like you had obviously 1602 storyline, which I thought was a lot of fun. Watching it with my girlfriend, she was just like, "Oh, this is really terrible. Like, it's really poorly written, and it's just not fun." And I was kind of like, to be honest, because I had said to her at one point, like, seeing this in live action would actually be a lot of fun. Like, if they shot it like an old kind of style, like 1600s movie where they're all in the armor and everything, and like you had like Paul Rudd and all this sort of stuff. I was like, this could actually be fun if they did it in live action. And she's like, no, this would be terrible. And I'm like, okay. So like I was, different tastes, but I thought that was fun. But then like again, like coming up to these episodes, like I was like, geez, they're really doubling down on Captain Carter here. And do you think, like, because I'm kind of watching that thinking like, "Ugh, are they like testing the waters for like a Peggy Carter film or something? Maybe they're seeing
Oh
how
yeah.
much it's liked." But then I'm thinking, like, when I'm down that train of thought, I'm thinking to myself, then why did they kill her so quickly in Multiverse of Madness? Like she was kind of made a bit of a joke in that film. So I'm like, do they like her? Do they not? Like, what's going on here? Like, I don't know.
Honestly, dude, I think the idea behind the multiverse of madness is just to poke fun at the fact that there's a universe that they went into that was destroyed completely because you know like Strange wasn't supposed to be there. Like there's an incursion that happened, and
Mhm.
it's basically like you don't take that version of Peggy Carter as the entirety of Peggy. Like
Yeah,
that could have easily been a different universe Peggy.
yeah,
So like you have to really think about it as more as like this is Captain Carter of 838. The one that we're looking for in What If is possibly Captain Carter of a different universe because we're not really seeing like any sort of like branch names. I think that it would really this show would really benefit off of branch names like universe, 1375, universe, such and such, because then it gives us this feeling like, oh, okay, so obviously like when you do these, it's like a different universe, which of course, like that's the whole point.
mhm,
But when you don't tell us like what's going on or not what's going on, but what the setting is, besides the fact that we got to go by the title itself and the premise, it kind of feels like a little like it's like it's trying to outdo itself in the sense.
mhm.
It's like, okay, so Peggy died in 838. Is this the same Peggy? I don't think so. I think it's a
No,
completely different Peggy.
definitely not the same Peggy. Yeah,
Right. So but they don't tell you that. So like because that's what
that's
went
true.
through your head. You were like, wait, didn't this Peggy die? Like what when did she die? Like, and so it's like fucking with your brain because it's like you're not thinking like, oh, this could just be a different universe Peggy.
Yeah. God, imagine you've only just put this idea in my head now, but imagine that everything that we've seen in What If leads to Multiverse of Madness, and that actually is this Peggy. I think that'd be like because like this Peggy's obviously been through some like wild shit. Like to kind of ahead to the finale, like she gets like Hella's hat and she gets all 5 Infinity Stones. Like she's like Ultron in the first season. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like it's like how is she doing this? I'm sorry, like she's a super soldier. I don't think she should be able to
Well,
wield all this power. I'm like, I went real nerdy in my head for a bit because I was just like, this is outrageous. Like the power scales are not adding up here. Like, like the Hulk holding like these things for like a second and like, he nearly dies. And like Peggy is basically human, like a beefed up human, and she's, acting like a god in this finale with all this shit. Like, so I thought it was a bit strange. But then I'm thinking like, okay, so if that version of Peggy goes to Multiverse of Madness and then just gets chopped in half in a second, I'll be like, what? What
exactly.
the
So
fuck? Yeah.
that's the thing is like they're not taking into account the power levels. Like that's what
Yeah.
really bugged
No,
me.
no. Yeah.
Like they're not caring about the power levels. They're just caring about the fact that they're trying to write a funny story. And
Yeah.
that's all I felt throughout the entire show is that they were just trying to be funny. And
Yeah.
like I don't need you to be funny. I just need you to like make good content. That's why you and I both hated the first episode of Nebula. Like it didn't matter. I didn't
Yeah.
care. I really didn't. And I
Yeah.
got to tell you, man, I don't know how you felt about all the voice acting, but I felt like it was literally like they were in a rush. They called up the people. They're like, "Hey, we need you to do some lines," and then they did the lines, and then it was over. So
Mhm.
like we know Seth Green can be a voice actor. I'm not a
Mhm.
fan of him. I don't think Seth Green is a very good voice actor. I think he like really overdoes his own voices.
Mhm.
And he does naturally the same voice besides Chris, from
Yeah.
Family Guy.
Yeah.
I'm not a huge fan of him, and this like further cemented that because when we see Howard the Duck and we hear Seth Green, all I can hear is just him trying to be funny, and
Yeah.
it never hit. I don't know how you felt about that, but it never hit. What'd you think about that?
Um, I might have got one or two laughs out of some of not the way the lines were delivered, but just the lines in general. I think I do remember laughing at one or two jokes. Like, I think there's a bit there's a bit where someone hits one of the cash machines and it starts shitting out money, and he's like, "Hey, those things aren't supposed to do that." And I was
Yeah,
like, I
that was
kind
a
of
good
laughed at that.
line.
that was pretty funny, like, but yeah, I'm not a big Seth Green fan either. You know, I don't know, I don't know if you've ever seen Entourage, but he was in Entourage playing himself, and he's a complete dickhead, and I'm like, is he just playing himself? You know, I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't know, like, you know, but I've never really liked him. So yeah, like when I heard it was him, because I think he's voiced Howard the Duck a few times, hasn't he? Like it wasn't his first
Yeah,
time doing it.
but when he did Howard the Duck in like and actually voiced him in the live action, it was fine. It didn't
Yeah,
feel like it was like rushed, or it didn't feel forced. It felt
yeah,
fine, but I still don't like Seth Green. But like it was fine. I don't
yeah,
know.
yeah, yeah. Like yeah, I don't know. It is what it is. Like I
Well,
didn't really take anything much out of the first episode.
well, and then what about Korg? Like we saw Korg like fucking 50 times.
Yeah, I thought that was really strange as well because obviously Korg was big in the first episode. I don't know if we saw him after that. Did we see him after that? We probably did, but
We saw him
like,
multiple times. I can't remember
yeah,
where because like it felt like he was everywhere.
I just remember laughing, thinking like, you know, Taika Waititi talked a lot of shit about Marvel very recently, so I think it's kind of funny that he's, you know, got a couple of episodes now of What If, when he's like openly kind of talking shit like about Love and Thunder and saying he only did it because he wanted money and all this sort of stuff. Like, and it's kind of like he's trying to defend himself basically because the movie was so shit.
Right.
I,
And
I found it
but
funny.
like it's his fault.
Yeah, oh
He
yeah,
sucks at writing.
yeah, yeah. No, I
He
know.
sucks. He's a
Yeah,
good he's a good director, but he
yeah,
just sucks at writing.
yeah,
That's all it
yeah.
is.
What did you think of episode 6? The one with the new character where she
I
like was powered by the space stone.
I actually like I really like that, but it's kind of funny thinking about how she's just a better version of Captain Marvel at this point.
Yeah,
Like they literally did the same exact thing. They did the Space Stone
yeah,
with Captain Marvel. They did the Space
yeah,
Stone with Kahori, and apparently they don't have the same fucking abilities. So it's obvious that the energy different. Like I don't know what it is. Energy explosion from like the spacecraft with the Tesseract or whatever the Space Stone
hmm,
with Captain Marvel somehow caused her to be like this ultra powerful being who still gets beat down like it's nothing.
yeah,
Um, it's but Kahori, like I really enjoyed her character. I love the concept of it. She's an original character. She is not in the comics whatsoever. She is
yeah,
created from this show.
yeah,
And I think for these kind of shows, like for What If, perfect. I love
yeah,
that. Give me more of that. Like if you want to make new characters, put them in What If
yeah,
and then let it flourish, let it sink into people's minds, and
yeah,
then bring them to life. Put them in live action. Like because we've seen was it Makari? Is that what her name is? Like who is the speedster in
yes.
the
Eternals.
Eternals?
Yeah,
So like her speed force in the sense like in like I don't know how it works in Marvel. I don't know if it's called speed force. It could just be something completely different. I'm assuming maybe it's a
I
trademark
yeah,
thing.
I think she just moves fast. I don't think it's
Yeah,
the Speed Force is its own kind of
thing
thing.
for
Like that's
DC.
yeah, 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 yeah,
So yeah, like I don't know if it's name if it's got a coined term in Marvel, but that we've seen that in live action, which I think did really well in the Eternals.
mhm,
And so to see it like animated looked amazing
yeah.
because they knew
Yeah,
how to do it.
it was cool. Like I really liked the character. She had some really cool powers. I'd like to see it in live action. Um, and I think what you're saying is absolutely correct. Like, What If is the perfect platform to do stuff like that, and especially like, let's say for example, you create a character and it kind of flops a little, but the concept is good. Then you can just do it again, do a different version, change a few things, you know, see what people don't like and change those bits, and then you can kind of do it again in What If. And then if people are like, "Oh, that's way better," it's like, okay, that's the live action one we go with, and away they go.
Exactly.
Or you know, then start writing that person in a comic book or something like, and just kind of continue it in different medium that way. Like you know, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I like the idea, but I don't know if again if I'd like just a bunch of like random characters starting to come into live action and taking, you know, over from existing heroes I want to see, sort of thing. Like I wouldn't like it if they kind of doubled down on that. But you know, I wouldn't mind seeing this new character appear in, a live action TV show or something like that.
Yeah.
Be kind of cool. Yeah.
Oh, and I think that what they can do is they can do it every other season, just so
Mhm.
that they don't overdo it and like
Yeah.
oversaturate things. Because like I said before, Marvel has over 70,000 characters. They're not all
Yeah.
heroes, but there's 70,000 characters.
Yeah.
So
Plenty
like,
to choose from already. Yeah. They don't need to go taking chances,
right,
creating characters
exactly.
that might not work when they have all the source material in the world. Yeah. I agree. I agree.
But I, but like, dude, she's cool. I
Oh, it
like
worked.
her.
It worked. It worked. It really did work. And like I
Yeah.
liked the story was great as well. Like, like it kind of felt like Avatar kind of meets what was I had something in my when I was watching it, I was kind of like, this reminds me of something else. I can't think of what it is now. But it felt kind of very Avatarish, kind of, new world, new place, and they're all kind of learning abilities together and all this sort of thing. And it's a tribe kind of vibe and stuff like that. It felt very Avatar to me.
Well, I really like that they used their original language.
Yeah, that
Um,
was cool.
That was really cool. And then I really like I love the ending because of the fact that they show up through the portal
Hmm.
and then they're just speaking fluent Italian.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like or is it Spanish?
Spanish,
Sorry.
I think. Yeah, it was
I
the invaders were Spanish. Yeah,
right. I couldn't remember if it was the Spaniards or the Italians.
yeah,
um but like it just felt really cool to have that moment of like holy shit, they're basically they must have captured someone and then learned from them or like because they didn't originally have that language barrier. Well, they had the language barrier for a while until uh I don't know how long it took. Like apparently these people are immortal now. Like you have the energy, so like
interesting.
you're basically immortal. Like they don't age. So from what I understand, in order to make this character a viable character in like movies and shows and whatnot for live action, they have to continue with that spectrum and be like, okay, so when we have her going throughout like whatever business that she's going through, let's say like she hasn't gone back to her, that home planet area in such a long time to like regain her power, much like the Lantern Corps.
Yeah, yeah,
You have to recharge once in a while, and I think that's a great idea. So like
yeah. I
hopefully they
wonder.
make that a thing.
I wonder how that would work with the fact that, like, so say for example, she does like, so if you're saying that she's immortal, for example, she could have been in the 616, but this just happened hundreds of years ago. So, if she was to pop up in the 616, she could actually still be the same person, but she could be hundreds of years old, really wise, very powerful. But then what would happen after the stones get destroyed? Does the power
Well,
leave them when
so
the space stone is gone, or have they already just got the powers? Because I
so
suppose
that's the thing.
it's the same thing. It's the same thing with Wanda, right?
Right, but
Yeah.
that's the thing, Finto. This isn't 616. If it was 616, this person would already have been known. This is a
If she
completely different take.
if she is immortal, I suppose
If
we're
sh
are you speculating when you say that, or you know that for sure?
n- No, no, no. Immortality is different from being a nexus being. Nexus
Yeah,
being means that you are destined to be that person in every instance of the universe whatsoever.
well aware. But the point I'm making is that this story in that episode took place like hundreds of years ago. So it's like, could be our universe, like the movie universe, technically.
No,
Why?
because we would know of her. Because she invaded the Spaniards and told the queen to create peace. This world is of peace, made in her image. You can't
Yeah,
you can't put it in the 616 because there's war. there's
yeah,
nothing there's nothing tied to that whatsoever. You like Kahori is a character designed to have lived in a universe that she has embodied within peace because she is technically forced everyone to learn to get along because she is going to each and every country and telling them like you either join us or you're against us in the sense. And it's like and they're trying to do it peacefully, and like it's both a give and a take in terms of like yes she is a hero, but that also can spell like really bad situations for like characters that are immortal as well, that want to change the world. They feel like it's too boring or whatnot. Like they can really emphasize this world to be its own thing. Like I don't care if if like Avengers don't exist in this world anymore. I care if like this character exists in her own world.
Yeah,
If
doesn't
she
sound like
goes,
there'd be a need for anything. If it's peace on Earth, there's nothing to fight for.
but
So
you need chaos. There's no peace. Peace doesn't exist
exactly.
without chaos. So when you see it that Kahori is trying to create this peaceful like land or peaceful world, eventually someone's going to rise up and try to go against her. They're going to go and destroy her resources. This can be a completely big story for herself within that world where the resource supply of like the crystals that they use like for the resources, like they're gone. Someone came in, they stole them or destroyed them, or they took them to a completely different planet. They found the source and they decided to create their own army. And so like it's just the world that could be peaceful, but the universe itself is not.
Yeah,
So like the Guardians of the Galaxy probably still exists in this world. The Avengers probably are still probably going to exist in the world as well. But like the idea here is that you can really expand on this character and create her own storyline with this universe. Whereas if you were to place her in a 616, it wouldn't make sense considering that like there is no peace. No country is truly at peace with each other.
true, true. Yeah, it's an interesting concept. Maybe she'll pop into Secret Wars or something. Who knows?
Which I think it's a huge possibility now because
Yeah.
you know they're rewriting shit left and right. They have to rewrite the whole Jonathan Majors thing as Kang. I think they should just recast him. I don't want Doom unless they do it like in a proper way. Like I think that Kang is still such a great character to portray that
Hmm.
you just get a new actor that can fit that position. And I'm pretty sure there's plenty of people that can fit that. And I know
Yeah,
that a lot of people really like Jonathan Majors, but I really hated Victor Timely. Like I think
yeah.
that was his
I
worst performance.
I think they're gonna recast and then do the Beyonder, and then the Beyonder is just gonna be a variant of Kang. I think that's gonna be how they do it. And then so
Which
like
is
all of the Kang the Conqueror variants are kind of gone, but they just kind of half shelf it, but then bring a variant of Kang back as Beyonder.
which I mean that could be fine. I'm not too savvy on Beyonder lore, other than the fact that they look at things beyond the spectrum, basically. It, like that could be anything. It sounds a little rough in my opinion. I think that they shouldn't do that. They can give him
Well,
the powers of the Beyonder, but I
yeah,
don't think he should be a variant.
I think I don't know. I think the Beyonder is obviously a very important character in Secret Wars, so it would make sense that he is involved in Secret Wars. And then I think that him just being a variant of Kang, I think that was the original. So do you know the Kang the Conqueror that's in Ant-Man 3? At the end of the
Right.
movie, he dies or he gets sucked into the even further down into the quantum realm or whatever, wherever he goes. I think the original story was that that was going to happen to him, but he was going to return with the powers of the Beyonder, and that variant of Kang was going to be the Beyonder in Secret Wars. I think that was the original idea, but now with the way that everything's kind of landed, and obviously Jonathan Majors getting fired, they're going to have to recast and then have the Beyonder as just a variant of Kang, but it's a different actor. I think it kind of works, to be honest.
No, no, honestly, I think the first thing you said was perfect. Like he comes back, he has the powers of Beyonder. He can look like a completely different person because of the powers. You can write it as such. Don't
Mhm.
change it and make him a variant. Just give him the powers of the Beyonder, change his looks, make it so that it altered his physical attributes, and now he just looks different. You can write it as that, or you could just not say anything and just say it's the same king.
Yeah.
But like making him a Beyonder variant really bugs me because
No,
Beyonders
a
are
variant of Kang. So this the
right,
yeah.
right. What I'm saying is making a Beyonder a Kang variant is sloppy work. A Beyonder is someone who's beyond the spectrum of the multiverse. So you're saying that there's always been a Kang that existed beyond the spectrum
Mhm.
when Kang is a multiverse character. He's within like all the universes.
Yeah.
So like it just to me that like it really doesn't make sense to me. Like I don't know how you can explain it to me better, but like it just feels like it's better to just make it like that variant came back, stole the Beyonder powers,
Yeah.
became as strong as a Beyonder, created Battle World, got gathered everyone, boom, Secret Wars, Kang Dynasty, stuff like
Yeah.
that.
I haven't read the Secret Wars comics, but I know in I think the later one, I believe that Doom actually like kills the Beyonder and takes his powers, and that's how he
Right.
becomes like the God Doom. So maybe that's what a version of Kang does. Maybe they just kind of change it a little bit, and whatever version of Kang that we have left over, who will probably be played by a different actor, he kills a Beyonder and becomes the Beyonder or something, like becomes
Yeah.
God Kang or some shit. I don't know. Yeah, we'll see. Well, again, we have to wait and see.
Yeah. Exactly. I
Um,
mean, overall, dude, like what did you think like okay, so you asked me what my least favorite was. I don't remember if I asked you
Mine was the first episode.
just the first episode.
The Nova Corps one was the worst episode. Yeah.
Okay.
Um,
Um, what was your most favorite?
Looking at the list here, probably I did like the Happy Hogan one. I thought that was fun, and like it was just kind of I had a good laugh watching it and the whole Die Hard thing, and I'd only watched Die Hard the night before as well, so I was kind of like I was right in the Die Hard vibe. So I think I probably watched it at the perfect time. Um,
Nice.
yeah, so like that was good. I liked the Kohori one was great. Obviously, we've kind of talked about that for a bit. I like Hella with the Ten Rings. I thought that was great, and even I really enjoyed the 1602 storyline. Um, I thought it was great at getting like a different version of Steve who lost his Peggy, and then this version of Peggy gets sent to the past, and the two of them actually getting to interact with each other was great. And I think am I remembering it right? They were both super soldiers, so they were both Captain America technically.
Yeah.
And I thought it was cool that they got to like kind of vibe off each other because when I first kind of saw Peggy Carter as Captain Carter, I thought how cool would it be if she and Steve got to be together as super soldiers? Like how badass would that be? Like, So I thought it was kind of cool that we got to see that in this version. Um I don't I thought the like so all those episodes then kind of leading into the finale. I enjoyed the finale, but I thought it was a little too much at the same time. Like it got a bit too ridiculous.
Mm.
Like when and again, we've kind of touched on it already, but like when Peggy got like the Ultron suit and was wearing all the Infinity Stones, I thought that was a bit fucking ridiculous. And
It really was.
yeah, like Hella's hat, maybe even like even that was ridiculous as well. But I could maybe have stomached that because of the Ten Rings episode and stuff, and it kind of would have flown poetically that maybe she got that somehow. Fair enough, but having that and the stones, and I think she was manipulating Mjolnir at one point and everything. Like, it just got so crazy. Like she became a god. Like I'm just like, it just didn't make any sense. Like it was
Right.
fun, yeah, fine, it was fun, but and I know it's animation, so maybe we're not supposed to take it as seriously, but I take it fucking seriously. Like
Oh yeah.
I'm watching it as if it's a live action, like and I'm kind of thinking to myself, and it's funny because I think about one of the first like super chats I ever put up on the Den of Nerds thing was after the first episode of Peggy Carter on the first series, and I kind of said to Josh like, who's stronger, Steve Rogers or Peggy Carter with the serum? And like he was like, that's one of the nerdiest questions I've ever been asked. And he went off on like a tangent on it, like because I was like, when she first gets the serum, when they first give her the serum, they kind of just recreated the first Captain America movie. I'm
Mhm.
like, Peggy's like lifting tanks and shit, and Steve wasn't able to do any of that. And I was like, so is Peggy stronger than Steve? And he was like, loving it. Like, that's where my mind goes. I'm like, is Peggy because she was like a special forces in the UK, and she's a trained professional? Does that mean that she's more powerful than Steve? Because when she gets the serum, she's technically a better human, better soldier, better higher
Yeah.
IQ, better trained, everything. Whereas like Steve had like asthma and all this sort of shit, and he was like 5'3" and he was skinny. He'd blow him out, the wind would blow him over, and it's like he becomes Captain America, obviously. But again, and I think they kind of referenced this. I heard this being referenced, and I don't know if it was officially referenced or if someone was just kind of making like observations of this. But you do see Steve getting a lot better as the movies go on in the MCU,
Of
and
course.
Yeah, and it's like, is he getting stronger? I don't know per se. Like you definitely see, like, when you see him like curling the helicopter and stuff, I'm like, did he have that power from the beginning, or is he getting stronger as time's going on? But he's definitely, you see him training. Like, so when they first go to the Winter Soldier, like, when he's doing the stealth mission at the start, one of my favorite scenes in the entire MCU, like where he's like sprinting on the boat and kicking people over the edge and all. I'm like, when I first saw that, like my jaw was on the floor. I couldn't believe how amazing it was. But it's like the dude obviously had just gotten the powers to be Captain America, and he wasn't really him for long, didn't really do that much training. Then he gets frozen for 70 years. So it's like now he's been out, and it's like a year later or whatever it is, or 2 years later, and now he's had time to actually train and get used to his strengths and stuff like that. Like, so I'm where my head went when I saw all that was like, I think Peggy might actually be stronger than him because she is already trained and then becomes the super soldier. That's the kind
Right.
of where my head's at.
Well, and I agree with you wholeheartedly. And I think that you're completely right on the fact that Peggy was a healthy character,
Mhm.
healthy, strong character. And yes, she may have been female, but she had muscles. She didn't have any like
Yeah.
detriments whatsoever. Like she was a very kind-hearted person. So like that's what kind of like I think that's the concept, is like being a kind-hearted person kind of like made that perfect
Mhm.
being come to life.
Yeah.
And I would say that yes, like Peggy is absolutely stronger than Steve,
Mhm.
because of that. So like it just tacked on to everything that she did, that she already had. And so
Yeah.
that's why we see her lifting tanks and throwing like, and being able to use the shield tactfully over like what Steve could do. Like Steve barely knew anything. He had no training whatsoever, like you said. And I like when you look at, like, if you were to go by like what you can read up and everything, like wikis and whatnot, what Steve has when he becomes Captain America and he gets the super soldier serum, it's called peak human like strength,
Mhm.
which means that he's just at the peak. He's like literally the ideal or exceeded amount of strength that a human could actually have. Like he could literally do a lot of things that any of us couldn't really do. Except nowadays, like I feel like there's a lot of strongmen that can lift buses and shit. Like it's pretty fucking crazy. Um,
It is. Yeah.
but like when you look at it, it's like Steve barely holding on to that chopper. When you think like if that was Peggy, I think she'd just be able to pull the fucker back in.
Yeah, I hope they kind of address that at some point. If they're going to keep using Peggy Carter, I'd like them to answer some of those questions, some of the
Yeah,
nerdiest questions ever. But
I think she pulls back her punches. Just like I think her and Steve still have to pull their punches.
yeah, I think Tony says that at one point when he's talking to Spider-Man in the MCU, and he says if Cap wanted you dead, you'd be dead. Like he'd
Yep,
flatten you. And
he'd go full force.
yeah, and I would love to see that as well because again, nerding out on power scales and stuff. But in Homecoming, sorry, not Homecoming, in Civil War, when we first see Spider-Man, he manhandles the Winter Soldier. Like
Hmm.
as if he's like, when he grabs the arm and he flips it over, he's like, "You've got a metal arm, whoa!" And then he's like just throwing them around, having fun with them as if they're children. Like, and then to think at how powerful Bucky is, how powerful does that make Peter? And Peter was what, 14 at the time? Like that's wild. So it's like,
Well,
if Steve didn't pull his punches, could Spider-Man still fuck him up? Like, is the question I'm asking you now.
no, and like
No?
I would say no, because like Peter, like we've never seen a rageful Peter in such a long time, and when he is angry and he doesn't pull his punches, he could literally kill a villain. Like he could punch a hole through Green Goblin if he wanted to.
So Peter could kill Steve, is
He
what you're saying.
he can make thugs' heads explode with a punch if he wanted to. It's just he really holds it back
Yes,
because
but
of
I'm
like how
asking you,
strong he is.
if Steve does Steve beat
Oh
Spider-Man?
no, because
Yeah. That's
spiders are
the
very.
that's the question I'm asking.
Yeah, no, because well, if you take it into consideration, so from what I understand, like the spider was created via like gamma radiation and like some other types of experience that were conducted on the spider, and therefore, um, Peter has all of the abilities of a spider. Spiders are very strong. They're very like they're very flexible and durable. From what I understand, like you like not the typical spider, but like the super soldier serum only brings out that peak, like the like the peak stats.
Mhm.
Whereas like Peter's potential is damn near unlimited if you were to unlock it.
Hmm.
Like he's like, I think it's time and time again. Like we've heard from Stan Lee, he once said like, what Spider-Man can do is only the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah.
It's like he's yet to unlock his true potential, but it's because he's holding back all the time. It's really hard to kind of like put yourself out there when you're holding back. So these two characters who are holding back, it's hard to tell, but I really think that Spider-Man could beat Steve only for the fact that like he can really hit super hard. The only thing that I would say is that Steve is such a tactful person and much older than Peter, and like he has so much knowledge and tact that I think he could outmaneuver Peter. But like adult Peter versus adult Steve, that's hard. That's hard to say.
Yeah, I would say Spider-Man fucks him up every time, but I don't know. Like it's even like the way I look at it is like I don't think that Bucky was pulling his punches in that fight, and Peter was only 14, and he like, manhandles him. And I think Bucky and Steve are very very similar in power, if not the
Yeah,
same.
I would say so because the idea is that the strain of super soldier serum
It's
that
the same.
Bucky takes, it's not a perfected form,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
it's nearly perfected because like he's obviously not having any sort of like drawbacks.
yeah,
Um, and I really wish that like Falcon and the Winter Soldier was done a little bit better. I really wish they had done the original story because I'm wondering like how well that would have like played out in terms of like more super soldier characters like appearing because
yeah.
they only kind of picked two um
Yeah.
and like even though like was it US agent or secret agent, I can't remember his name.
U.S. agent, yeah.
US agent, like
John Walker.
yeah, like that character is so cool in that show. Like watching that like over like when you watch it the second time and you go
Yeah,
watch John Walker, you see the potential that Steve has because of the fact that like he took the serum and like he got so pissed at his partner dying, he went to go kill someone with the shield.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, it was
Like
fun.
super fun.
Yeah. Anyone who's just joining us, Lucci, what's up, dude? How are you? We're going real hardcore on the power scale in here. This is like probably some of the nerdiest shit we've ever
I
talked
love
about.
it.
So,
I fucking love it.
yeah, I hope people listening are liking it. But yeah, I could talk about this shit for hours as well. So
dude,
I'll
dude,
I'll try and yeah, go on.
for the nerdy people that are listening right now, I know you guys are just like either furious or you're like agreeing. Like,
Yeah, yeah, it's a slippery slope for sure.
it really
Um, yeah, I don't really have anything else much to say about What If as a whole. I think it's definitely, if you haven't seen it, it's definitely worth watching. If you saw the first season and liked it, I think you're gonna like the second season. I personally preferred the first season just because it was more random. I think they've after creating the second and third season at the same time. That's the kind of feeling I get because a lot of the stuff that was coming out, like concept art and all that sort of stuff that came out like while the show was being made, a lot of it hasn't come out yet. Like there was like images of the Eternals, for example, and like Red Guardian and all this sort of stuff that had come out a long time ago, and they weren't in that season. And now I don't know if you saw, but they put up on their official YouTube channel a trailer for season 3 already. So
Mhm.
they must have made them in sync with each other. But like there's like a 3-minute clip, like it's a pretty long trailer, and it's Red Guardian and Bucky in a car together trying to like kind of flee, and they're kind of working together and stuff like that. Like so it's kind of like a take on the Black Widow movie maybe or something, but with Bucky instead of Natasha or something. I don't really know. But
Right.
it's cool. Like again, I that they're the kind of stories I want, just kind of like really, really random shit. Like Eternals popping into something just completely random that they never did before. Like I think the Eternals is a really good one to use because you can kind of reshape history with them because they've been around for so long. So you could, just do completely wild different stories with them, and they just change the course of history completely or something. You can make it fun. Do like a crazy episode with them, and then you flash back to like current times, and just the whole world is completely different. It'd be
I
cool.
I I would love for them to tack on to endings. And what I mean by that is like, what if I forgot her name, like the pixie lady from Eternals. Like, what if she had stabbed um what's her name? Oh my god, I forgot all their names already. So like, what if she had actually stabbed the lady and let
Before the Celestial went off.
yeah,
Is that what you mean? Yeah, and then the
yeah,
Earth gets destroyed.
right. Like, what would have happened then? Like, I would love for them to
Yeah,
get that crazy, like where they kind of tack on to an ending and go like, well, let's see what happens.
yeah, yeah. That wouldn't have gone well for them. Like, I know
No, no, yeah,
Icarus probably would have just been able to fly away, and he'd be like, "Oh, okay, that's the end of that planet." But like the rest of them
right.
are done. You know,
Yeah,
they're
it
gone.
it would be a total reset
Yeah,
of the universe, from what I understand.
of Earth. Well, yeah, I don't know, because like my understanding of that was that just that obviously they use a planet as a host, and then when the Celestial's born, that planet obviously gets imploded or dies or explodes or
Right.
whatever. But what happens to the rest of that universe? I don't know. I presume that they just go off into space and meet up with their celestial family and
Right.
away they go. I don't know, but like yeah, the Earth would have been completely destroyed. So 616 dead. So yeah, I don't know. Like it's something that I didn't really think about too much when I was watching that movie. But like, it's like, why are they wanting this to happen? Like, I know that's their purpose. I don't know. Yeah, like, I think there's a lot. Like that movie. When did that movie come out? In 2021. Like that movie.
Yeah,
Like
wasn't too
I
far away.
yeah, I really feel like it's been a long time since that movie came out, and I'd love to know more of the lore of them and what's going on now. Like, where are they now years later? I know there's like some of them are they're all kind of robots or clones or whatever the fuck it is, and there's like farms of them, and they're all sent out on missions and stuff. It'd be nice to see another story of Eternals. Like I quite enjoyed that movie, and I think it
Yeah.
it really works better on a rewatch as well. Like I enjoyed the first showing of it. I know a lot of people didn't, but I find even when I went back, I enjoyed it. But when I went back, I liked it even more the second time, third time around. So
The the guy who plays Fastos is my favorite.
yeah,
Like,
he's great. He's a
hands down,
fantastic
he's so
actor.
fucking cool.
Yeah, he's a great
Um
actor.
oh, well, Gilgamesh, I think, was also a really cool character.
Yeah, I just kind of hated the way they killed him off so quickly, because I was really
Yeah.
starting to like him, and then he goes, and you're like, oh no, I loved him. Like, that was kind of shit. But and as well, like I think you know the whole twist with Icarus, I didn't see it coming, which I thought was great. Like it's nice to be kind of surprised in movies, and then when you're kind of watching it the next time, you kind of maybe feel for him a little more because you can kind of see his internal struggle at the start of the movie, whereas you don't really notice it at the first watch. Whereas then when you're watching it the second time, you're like, oh, you can see he is kind of suffering with this decision that he's made, and
Mhm.
betraying the team and stuff like that. Like, so yeah, it's cool. It's cool. I like it. It's a good movie.
Yeah. So, like, to be honest, I am actually excited for them to eventually come out with Eternals 2. I really want to see what they do with that.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Thanos' brother as well, and Star Fox, and
Fucking Harry Styles.
yeah.
And
I'm still curious. I'm still curious.
I love that Patton Oswalt is Pip.
Yeah. Do you think they go down the road of doing like the whole X-Men thing, and like X-Men are basically deviants, and then like the Eternals, like it'd be like Eternals versus X-Men? Because I think by the
That
time they
would
come
be
around to it,
sick.
yeah, I think
That
that's
would be
what they.
sick.
I think that's what they do, bro. I think that's the way they win this. Like that'd be a way to really get these characters in the limelight if they have them kind of coming down to try and fuck up the X-Men. That'd be fucking sick, man. I'd love
Yeah.
it.
That, or like huge fight with the Eternals and the mutants, and then like the deviants pop up like when they're weak and
Yeah,
try to take over, and then they team up kind of situation. Like
because
the
in the
usual.
in the comics, isn't Thanos a deviant in the comics?
He's a mutated he's a mutated Eternal from what I remember. Like I can't say for sure, but I know he has some sort of mutation,
Yeah, because
which
he
is why
didn't
it makes
always
him look that
he
way.
didn't always look the way he looks, and obviously that would explain how he has a human-looking brother.
Right, exactly. Yeah,
Yeah,
because Star Fox is his brother.
yeah. But again, like that's the kind of story that, if you're a sweaty, this sort of stuff. But the normal person watching this is just like, why is Harry Styles in this now? And who is he? Like, they need to really explain this stuff. Like they brought Harry
Yeah.
Styles into the MCU for fucking 3 minutes and never explained anything. So
Right.
it's like, come on, guys, get the fucking let out. Like, come on, hurry up, please. Um, are you excited for Echo next week?
Yeah,
Or
I would
in a
say
few
so.
days now?
Only
It's like
I would
three.
say
We're
I'm
recording this on
excited.
the 7th.
Yeah, yeah, of course. Like,
I think it's. I think it's.
it's a new
I
show.
actually clip it out, guys. Quote me here, but I actually think this show is going to be really good, and I hope I'm not wrong. But if I am, I'll put my hands up and say I was wrong. But I really think that this show is going to be good. That last trailer that they released kind of got me hyped. They're kind of they're portraying Fisk as being like kind of the next kind of big bad, and I love it because I love Fisk, and I think it would be really clever to do it, especially if they're planning. Like, we've kind of been hearing whispers that the next Spider-Man movie is going to be very street level. They've got Daredevil, street level, Punisher, blah blah blah, all these people, and it would be great if all of these projects had a common foe in Fisk becoming like, say, the mayor of New York, and then it's like, you do the Defenders again, but you do it better. I think that would be fucking sick. And then you just have Thanos as the new kind of big bad. Like, I know Den and Nurse put out a video today. I haven't watched it yet, but like the title was like, "Is Fisk the next Thanos?" Like, and I'm like, I don't know if he's the next Thanos. Like, I don't know if it's that serious, but he's definitely more powerful now. Like, they've depicted him as more powerful than he was in the Netflix show. Like, I think in Hawkeye, um, Kate Bishop hits him with like an arrow that explodes, and like he just gets up as if he's not even hurt. So it's
Mhm.
like, is he like a super soldier or something, or like, is he? There's something about him,
It,
because like
it,
in comics and in like the old animations and stuff, he does have strength. He is powerful, right? Because like there's always a scene that I remember from the original Spider-Man cartoon where like he's like, bear hugging Peter, and like Spider-Man thinks he's gonna die. He's like, "Oh my god,
right.
my ribs are I'm gonna like die here. My ribs are gonna explode." Like, and like that's like, again, to go back to power scales again. But like if he's able to nearly crush Spider-Man, this dude has to be as powerful as the fucking Hulk, like. So it's like,
Well, yeah, that's the thing is like with Fisk though, like the idea behind Kingpin is that he doesn't have any serums in him. He doesn't have
yeah,
anything in him. It's literally like how in Daredevil, I think season 2 when he's like pumping iron,
yeah, yeah,
like
yeah,
his persona is literally based on the fact that he believes that physical human strength, like peak human strength is done through just physical training and just constant like training and training and training. So the
yeah,
dude's been lifting weights ever since he was 12.
yeah,
He's been lifting weights. He's been eating like a fucking horse because he got huge. So he's like durable. He's strong. He learned how to sumo wrestle. He learned like all these different types of like fighting moves. So he's like super strong. He's super tactful. So he's like literally like it's basically like what if Steve had already been able to do that like without the serum.
yeah,
So like it's just this cool idea that like Spider-Man's just fighting a human like, who's just able to fucking crush him.
yeah. But that's what makes the character of Fisk so
It's
appealing,
so
like,
cool. Yeah.
But then as well, like, I don't know if you saw this last trailer, but in the last trailer, like, it's the voiceovers like, rated M for mature, and like it even says the thing like, make sure that your profile is set for mature content, otherwise you won't be able to watch it. So obviously this Echo series is gonna be gruesome. And like the last trailer that they released, like it's you see Fisk like beating the fuck out of people and he's covered in blood and everything. And it's gonna be vicious, like it's gonna be crazy. It's gonna be great. Like that's why we all came to Daredevil and Punisher and all the Netflix shows, and why they are considered like god tier content. Like, because they go there, and we need to see it. Like,
Yeah.
growing comic book fans, and they want to see the blood and the gore, like, and the realness of it. And I think Disney are finally kind of saying like, yeah, look, fuck it, let's just do it. Like, yeah, I'm
It
I'm I'm very excited for this show, man. I think it could be fucking fantastic.
See, and that's what I find amazing about these story writers and script writers and like all these people that take some of the source material from Marvel and go like, yeah, we could work with that. We could do this, we could do that. Like they don't realize how amazing like the comics really are from Marvel because they want to take all the golden age comics and
Mhm.
just like work with that. They never really look into the silver age and see like all the things that like Spider-Man was one of the first characters to have dealt with like true loss and like really this sense of sadness and depression over the fact that like he can never be a normal kid anymore. He has to be a hero.
Hmm.
And all these all these moments like with Thanos and with Iron Man and the things that they can all do, like it's very destructive. And we never get to really see that. We only get to see little snippets of it, and it's like, and I'm really happy to hear like from you as well that we're finally getting to that point to where we're gonna stop pulling the punches and just start
Yeah,
bringing in the blood.
yeah, yeah. No, it's exciting times. I hope it goes well. I really do. Like, I'm a big Daredevil fan. Anybody who listens to us knows this. Like, and when I first kind of heard about the show, and it leaked a long time ago that Daredevil was going to be in the show. Now it's like confirmed with him showing up in trailers and stuff like that. And I don't know if you saw
Mhm.
the news during the week that the fight scene between Echo and Daredevil, which is happening in the first episode, is going to be like 6 or 7 minutes long, like a fight scene, which is great, obviously. Um,
Nice.
yeah, it's cool, and like that's what I wanted to see out of the show. I want to see Kingpin covered in blood, and I want to see Daredevil in here kicking the shit out of people, like, and the Echo storyline itself, whether it's like good or not, I think if I get a good bit of Fisk and some Daredevil, I'll be happy either way. Like,
Mhm.
and I just I like, and nothing, no disrespect to the actress who plays her or anything like that. I just don't really care about the Echo character. But I hope this show changes my mind. I hope by the end of the show, I'm like, fuck yeah, I want to see more Echo. Like, she's epic. You know, I
Well,
just I haven't seen that yet, and I
right.
hope this show gives that to us.
I agree. I really do. Like wholeheartedly. Like she could be so much more cooler
Hmm.
about like being this character, and they
Yeah,
haven't really pushed that yet.
yeah. Have you seen the memes where it's like, how are these two going to communicate with each other because he's deaf and he's blind and she's deaf? It's like, how can the two of these guys communicate?
Yeah.
They have no way of, if you think about it, there's like, I know like Matt is obviously very advanced and he can kind of see, so maybe it'll work. But like, if you were to put in real life a blind person and a deaf person together, they would have no means of communicating with each other. So it's kind of just funny. I thought that was a funny meme.
I think that what'll happen is basically her like hand movements and whatnot. Maybe they'll address that. Maybe he'll hit the ground or hit something and like cause like a bit of vibration, so that he can see what she's saying, or
Yeah.
maybe he can sense like the movements that she's got, like that she's doing, and
I think
then
that's I think that's how powerful he actually is. That like, even if her just waving her hand, he can actually hear her hand waving and
right,
actually see it. You know what I mean?
yeah,
But I'm more worried about her. So the other way around. You know what I mean?
hmm
So maybe he can sign or something. I don't know, because I think
maybe
they kind of did that in the Hawkeye show. It was like, just by chance, everyone in the show could sign so they could communicate with each other. Like, it was.
well, and it makes sense because he's a lawyer. So it'd be great if he knew like as many languages as he could.
Yeah,
So
he is very clever, so
yeah,
it would kind of make sense. And the fact that he's blind as well, maybe he would be open to learning more things like that. You know what I mean? Just
yeah.
to, but yeah, like like, it's a pretty weird thing. It's a pretty weird concept when you think about it. Like, a blind guy being able to sign. You know, I love it though. I love it. I love it. Do you have any other kind of nerdy bits that you want to bring up?
Nothing in particular. I know that we had like was it during our winter break that the Insomniac was held for ransom for like Wolverine?
I think we didn't talk about it, but I think that happened a few weeks ago. But yeah, I don't know. Did you see? I know they've released a bunch of footage and stuff.
I
It was
haven't
like,
seen anything. I like
I saw, I saw.
I was trying to be respectful about it. I'm like I'll leave that alone. I
Yeah,
didn't expect that to happen. I thought like maybe they were bluffing, but like the idea is that it had to have been an inside job because there's no way they had like access to every single like bit of work.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
Again, I didn't really pay attention to the story itself. I read something, a tweet or something that was like Insomniac being held at ransom. I was like, oh, that's so shit. Then I didn't really think about it again, and then just randomly in my For You like footage of the game popped up, and I was like, oh shit, they must have leaked stuff. So, and then I saw Insomniac put out a kind of message, apologizing that stuff had been leaked because apparently, like, employees' information and stuff got leaked as well. It wasn't just like stuff from the Wolverine game. But
Right.
I did watch some clips from the game, and it does look pretty fucking cool. It's kind of um it kind of draws on mechanics from, say, God of War and like Spider-Man combined. So like he's kind of doing the stealthy bits that Spider-Man does, but when he's fighting, he kind of looks like Kratos, like kind of brute and going through people and stuff. So like it's exactly what I want in a game. Like, so I'm still excited. Like, I to be honest, I always kind of think that things like this, they never do damage. Like, what they say, like any publicity is good publicity. I think getting to see the game a little early, while some people might think it's a bad thing, I think, it kind of, for me, it certifies that yes, I am very much so looking forward to this game after seeing some, incomplete footage, and it still looks fucking great and it still looks fun. For me, I'm like, yes, I'm doubling down. I'm definitely like, I was obviously going to be in anyway, but now I'm like hyped, whereas I know they kind of probably see it as damaging. I don't. I only see the positives in it.
Well, it's
Just
damaging
about the
personal.
footage. Sorry, yeah, no, of course. I'm just talking about the footage. I'm talking about
Yeah.
just the Wolverine game. Obviously, it's terrible what happened to personal people, like with their information getting leaked and stuff. Obviously, that's terrible. I'm not talking about that at all, though. I'm just talking about Wolverine here.
Right. Well, and that's the weird thing is that whoever requested that amount of money, what was it, 2 million? Um,
I actually don't know the fine details of the whole thing. So
it was like millions of dollars that they were requesting in order to prevent the leak. But the thing
wow,
is that like I talked to someone who's like part of the industry,
yeah,
and I asked them, I said, like, would they have been able to pay for it? And they looked at me and they go, fuck no. They don't have that
yeah, like
money. Like
no, but
they barely make their profits. They barely make enough to move forward.
yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah,
how do you expect them, like, if they were to pay the money, then Wolverine wouldn't come out. Like, essentially.
yeah. They can't pay the developers to finish the project, like.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So yeah,
So
obviously that's why the stuff came. Like obviously they were just like, look, do your worst. Like there's just nothing we can do. You're not getting your money.
yeah, and like it's cool. It's fine if you leak gameplay and whatnot. We've seen leaks all the time. Like when I play World of Warcraft, there's a place called Wowhead. It leaks everything all the time. It's data
Yeah,
mining every single expansion that's about to come out, and it tells
yeah,
you everything that's going to happen. It's going to give you the full story if you want to read it.
yeah.
Who gives a shit?
Same thing happens in Fortnite. It's
Yeah,
yeah, data miners just go in and release all the new skins and everything before they come out. Like it's the same
yeah.
thing.
But it's like it's a harmless situation because it's like, who cares? Like, it's going to come out anyway. Well,
Yeah,
like when you attack the developers, it's like, come on, man. Like,
yeah,
that could really ruin someone's psyche. And so like I am excited to see this game come through, but like I'm also like worried about the developers. In the
yeah,
fact that like how do they feel? Like, are they going to feel okay as they're developing this stuff? Like, is it going to be the exact same thing? Do they have to stress out and change things now? Like,
yeah.
how fucked up is this situation for the developers?
True. Yeah, very true. Yeah, man. Did you? I don't really want to talk about this for a long time, but did you see the stuff going around about the new Star Wars director?
No.
She's so there's like they hired this director. I can't think of her name off the top of my head, but basically she's doing the next kind of Star Wars movie that's going to be released in theaters. It's the story of like Rey 15 years after Episode 9, but like she's like a female activist and all this sort of stuff. And there's been a couple of interviews with her where she's kind of talking about how she like she wants to make men uncomfortable, all this sort of thing. Like, and I'm all for female empowerment and stuff like that. I kind of my personal opinion on it is just like, are we not all equal at this stage? Like, did you not kind of like, are we not kind of in a world now? It's 2024. Like, I don't really see the world being a place where men can do things that women can't. I don't see it that way anymore. Like, and I don't
Oh,
know if I'm wrong, but that's my kind of perspective on the world and where we are now. Like, I'm very proud to say my girlfriend makes more money than I do. Like she's the breadwinner in the house. Like I don't like see it as like, the man has to go out and make the money and the woman stays at home with the kids and all this sort of stuff. Like, we're both working, we both gonna put our best foot forward in the world and,
And,
do what we do. Like, and I don't
and
know,
you'll be
man.
better off.
Yeah,
You'll be so much better off.
I just think it's backwards that like these people have to like talk about like bringing men down and it's the time of the woman and all this sort of stuff. It's like, oh, that's kind of going backwards. Like I don't think that's going forwards. Like I don't think, and even like most women don't even want that themselves. Like
Right. It's so you're talking about that interview, right? With that
yeah,
lady. Yeah. Okay. So
yeah.
I do know what you're talking about. Yeah.
She's the new director for Star Wars, and like she was hired
It's
by Kathleen Kennedy, and it's just crazy, bro. Like, cause I know they had Patty Jenkins in to direct that movie, and I think, plans fell through or whatever. But like Patty Jenkins, I don't know if you know much about her, but like, she did the first Wonder Woman movie, which was fucking
yeah.
amazing. Um, she was coming in to do a Star Wars project, and like she was even saying in interviews, like people were referring to her as like, the best female director and female this and female that. And she's like, I'm just a director. Like, can you just call me a director, please? Like, you don't need to have the female part at the start. Like, I'm
Right.
just a director.
Exactly.
Like, please stop focusing on the fact that I'm female.
She
Let's just make movies.
she fucking directed Monster.
Yeah.
Like that's such a like Eileen Warner. Like is it Warno? Like that fucking serial killer
Hmm. Yeah.
who
Yeah.
killed people like from gas stations and shit. Like
Yeah.
that's her. Like she did a fucking amazing job with that movie. That movie was awesome.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. It feels like Disney are just not learning from their mistakes and just doubling down on this crazy shit. And like this is like, in my opinion, like the worst time to do something like this, where you have someone who's like outright in an interview saying that they're an activist coming on, and they've even like gone down the road and saying like, I'm not like classically trained in filmmaking and all this sort of thing. And it just really feels like that they're just trying to like double down on this agenda of female empowerment and all this stuff, to the so much so to the fact that they're getting an activist in to make a movie. And like like, man, like
It's
I would feel like
cringe.
it's terrible, bro. Like, because like the way I feel is like, you have an opportunity now to potentially maybe save the Ray character. If this movie's good, they could potentially start off a new trilogy with Ray, try and repair some of the stuff that didn't work in their sequel trilogy. But now it just feels like they're doubling down on it. And it's just like, this is the worst time for you to do this now. They haven't had a movie on the big screen since episode 9, if I'm not mistaken. And
Yeah.
it's like, this is the next one, and they're going to be doing this. It just feels crazy to me. Like, I just don't know, man.
It's the most cringe thing that I had ever seen. Like the fact that she was like, I want to make men feel uncomfortable. It's like, no, dude, you want to make them feel excited. Like I want to
Yeah.
look at a like I remember seeing a TikTok video on this, someone who writes like for women and be like girl power, and then you see a guy who's like, oh. But then you see the other side of it, where someone like a woman director like makes the female actor like kill someone, and we're like, holy shit, she just killed someone. Like
Mm.
that's a simple way of showing like, holy shit, this chick is badass. It doesn't have to be
Well,
that she had to kill anybody. It's just that she's badass. She didn't have to say she was badass.
yeah. I think the likes of like Zack Snyder, for example, like I think he writes women really well, like very powerful women. Like, I think he did a great job with Wonder Woman. And I think part of the success of Wonder Woman 1 was that he was a producer on that film, and I believe he wrote the script for that film. And I think that's why it
Nice.
worked so well.
Yeah.
Um, and I think like I didn't really talk about Rebel Moon during the podcast, so I don't know if I'll get into it because I know you haven't seen it, but I did like Rebel Moon. Like it's focused around a female character, and I didn't once for a second feel like I was being pandered by it being a female lead. I just
Mhm.
thought this woman is a fucking badass. She's going around kicking the shit out of people. She's like very highly trained, like she's a badass. And I just didn't once think while watching that movie, like, oh, this is another female led thing. Whereas, like, if Disney brought that out, it would probably be stuffed in our face that it is. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I feel like someone like Zach makes movies with very strong female leads and doesn't put it in your face. I think he does it right.
Dude, do you remember Underworld? The Underworld series?
Love those movies, man. Love
Fucking
those movies.
Kate Beckinsale is the most
Badass.
badass fucking character in that movie.
Love them. I only rewatched them maybe 6 months ago, all of them, and I love them all. I like a little bit of an obsession with her back in Underworld One. Like, when I first saw
She's
the movie,
gorgeous.
she's incredible, and she still is beautiful. But that's not why I love the movies. Like, to be
Right.
fair, like, I know it's just a fantastic bonus that she's a great looking woman. Like, but you know, I think again, she's a great character and the action's fantastic in those movies and everything. Like, I just think, yeah, it's done right. Again,
Right.
perfect example.
Like
But
like
even Zach again, like when he did like Sucker Punch, I think it was a bit before its time. But I think again, it's a film about a whole cast of females going around kicking the shit out of people,
and
and
it
they're
was
all
fun.
fucking badass. Yeah, and
It
it was
was
fun and it
fun.
was great,
Ugh.
and you didn't feel like it was girl power. You know, it was
Yeah,
just like
no, it was
it's
nothing
just
about girl
badass.
power. It was just trying to it was literally just trying to survive within that facility
Yeah.
and trying to work together in order to get the fuck out of there. And like for anyone that hasn't watched it, I'm not going to spoil the ending, but like it's so fucking good.
I need to
Um
rewatch it because I watched it when it was like brand new, and I don't think I really appreciated it at the time. I want to go back and rewatch it
yeah.
now
Well
that I'm
then
more of a Zach fan. I want to go back and rewatch it again.
well then even then like you take a look at some of the characters that we have now in gaming as well. Like we have Aloy from
Yeah,
Horizon Zero Dawn. She's
mhm,
fucking cool. Like that
yeah,
character is such a badass. We have Hellblade 1 and 2 Senua's Sacrifice, I think. And like that stuff's pretty cool too. Like they make the character look so fucking crazy and like there's so much chaos and it's like you care more about the story and the character like involved in the story than you do the fact that they're a female or a male. And
yeah,
that's what I really enjoy about like the new modern age of like casting and directing is that it doesn't matter if it's a male or female. It's just the fact that like you made them cool.
yeah, yeah. I thought they did it, and this is a bit of a controversial take because I know a lot of people didn't like this, but in The Last of Us 2, I really liked Ellie and playing as Ellie, and I really liked playing as Abby as well. And I
Mhm.
thought like just seeing both sides of the coin was really good, and getting to kind of play as both of them, seeing Abby as a villain, then playing as her and kind of sympathizing with her, and then seeing her as a bit of a you would do the same thing if this happened to you, you'd be the Abby, like, of course. And then getting to kind of see them come together, fight, and all that sort of stuff. I thought it was really well done. A lot of people didn't like playing as Ellie. They wanted Joel to be in the game. Whatever. I didn't really care. I think
Mhm.
Ellie's a great character, and I thought playing as her was great. They made her gay in it, and a lot of people didn't like that. Again, I didn't think about it once. While I was playing the game, I was just like, meh, whatever. It is what it is. On with the thing. It just wasn't an important story point for me.
Right.
And
Exactly.
then when I finish the game, I go online and I'm just like, oh my god, the amount of people like giving out about this. It's like, oh, it's so woke, it's woke. Blah, blah, blah. I'm just like, just fuck off and just play the game. Like, you know what I mean? Again, this is just me. This is just the way I view the world. Like, I'm just,
Yeah.
I
But
just don't care about these things anymore. Like, I just think we're past this as humanity now. Like,
it's
it just,
it's the it's the people that use the term woke that are the people that haven't watched or played anything.
yeah, 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 for sure.
They're following the herd, dude. And
Yeah,
so like that's why you and I are accepting of everything because it's like it doesn't matter. All we care about is the story. If you got a good story, we don't care.
yeah. I can't remember what I was talking about. I had an argument, well, not an argument, but I got involved in a conversation on Facebook or Twitter about something. Sorry, oh, what was it? Talking about, I think, Agatha or something like that. And I kind of just said, like, just cancel it. You know what I mean? Just cancel the series. Like, we don't need it. And then people started like, oh, white male talking about canceling female projects. I was just like, oh, okay. I was like, let me fucking stop you for a second. I said, I'm not canceling it because it's female led. I'm canceling it because it's not needed. It's fucking going to be shit. Like, I said that the MCU is in enough trouble as it is. I don't need fucking C-list character going on a story for a series that is not going to do good. No one's going to watch it. You know what I mean? That's where we are. Do you know what I mean? Like if you look at 2023, like nobody went to see the Marvels, and
No.
a lot of people went to see Guardians of the Galaxy 3. I didn't like either of them, but the numbers talk for themselves. People don't want to see Captain Marvel. They want to see more. Guardians 3 than they want to see Captain Marvel. In my opinion, they were both equally as shit as each other. But like, I think it now is not really the time to be doubling down on the female stuff when it's not selling. You know what I mean? Just purely from a business point of view, I'm talking about this. You know what I mean? Like, if I'm running Disney or if I'm running Marvel and I'm looking at it, the numbers on a sheet, and I'm going, okay, this did well, that did not. This made us a little bit of money. This lost us a lot of money. Let's pull back on the shit that people aren't liking and let's make more of the stuff that people like. That's just
Well,
simple business. Like, you know what I mean? I'm not,
right.
no emotion attached to what I'm saying here. It's just, this is business. These is ones and zeros, bro. Like,
It's
make the fucking shit that is good. Make the shit that people like. Make the shit that people want to see. That you're in the entertainment business. You're here to entertain, not send messages and do whatever the fuck you want. Like, and
right.
as Disney are showing in spades, it's not working.
Exactly. Like sending messages like to people that don't need to have the message sent to them is
Yeah,
just the worst thing you could do to an audience. Like I
yeah,
remember watching, we watched Terminator 2
mm,
and fucking we see Sarah Connor. She's been working out while she's in the institute. She's been training. She's been fucking going ham like on getting
yeah,
ready to protect John.
yeah.
Um and
One
like
of the
she's
one
still
of the one
dealing.
of the greatest female characters of all time. Like, when I first started going to my girlfriend, I remember one of the first, like, we talking about movies. When you're getting to know somebody, I remember talking about Terminator 2 for some reason. It came up, and she was like, Linda Hamilton was my hero growing up because of that movie. Like,
Yeah.
genuine, she's a female hero, like one of the original female badasses right there. Yeah.
And Ripley from Alien, like
Yes. Yeah. On
fucking
the list as well.
cool,
Yeah.
cool fucking character.
Yeah.
Ugh, get away from her, you bitch.
I love it, dude. I love it. Love it. Oh man, yeah. Look, I didn't want to go off on a tangent there, but like, to be honest, and I know, like, as a straight white male, like, I have the in the social ladder right now, like, my opinion matters the least on the internet. But to be honest, like, I think, I don't know. I felt like I had to say that,
I'm a
but
cro-
I just,
I'm a
well,
crossbreed dude. I'm Hispanic.
yeah, yeah, yeah. You're way higher value than me right now. Yeah, I'm the shit on the society shoe right now at the moment, but look, it is what it is. um, I don't really think there's much else to talk about this week. Next week on the cast, we're gonna have the entire series of Echo to talk about, which I can't wait for. Female led, by the way, can't wait. It's going to be fantastic. I hope. Fingers crossed. If it's not, we'll talk about it anyway. Like, I'll give my honest opinion on it.
Yeah,
5 episodes, all airing on Wednesday. So for anybody who's watching this, we record these live on a Sunday. The replays will be up anyway. So if you're catching us on a replay, let us know what you think about What If and Echo and everything that we talked about in the comments below. And if you're listening to us on Spotify, give us a rating and everything. It helps the podcast grow. All right, guys, have a great week, and we'll see you next week. Bye bye.
there.